Each week, U.S. Bank brings us stories of athletes who have overcome adversity in their lives to become future leaders.
Aubrey, this week we meet an amazing young man who at the age of 3 had a heart transplant. Now 15, Ben Thornton is this week's U.S. Bank future leader. To find a passion in your life is to live your life to its fullest. Ben Thornton's passion is wheelchair basketball. His time on the court with his team is the best time in his life.
Well, when I first started, it really gave me a boost of self-esteem, and the people that are here, they lifted me up. They are similar to me, and they all have disabilities, and they are my best friends, and I wouldn't replace them for anything.
The story of how Ben got to this point begins when he was just 3 years old. Ben would get tired quickly and had a persistent cough. Ben was diagnosed with a rare heart ailment, which led him to Lucille Packard Children's Hospital at Stanford.
We examined him, we did an ultrasound called an echocardiogram, and we diagnosed what's called a cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy is a weakness of the heart muscle, and in particular he had a particular form of cardiomyopathy where the muscle is not only weak, but it also gets very stiff, and that's a very dangerous type of cardiomyopathy.
A short time later, while at the hospital, Ben went into full cardiac arrest. His heart was no longer working. Ben was put on a heart machine designed for adults as a short-term solution. Then, to keep Ben alive until a donor heart could be found, doctors used a new technology.
The Rollin heart was a fairly new device. It was just being introduced on a compassionate use basis in the U.S. It had not even been approved by the FDA, and he was one of the youngest patients to be placed on the Rollin heart at that point.
The Rollin heart kept Ben alive during an agonizing wait for a donor heart.
Day after day after day, and you're just in a holding pattern. And you know, you really don't have any options. You just wait and you try to stay positive, and that's that.
After 55 days, the family got the news a heart was found for Ben. The surgery was a great success, but after surgery, doctors and the family noticed a weakness in Ben's legs.
So with Ben, one of the risks of these pumps, it's the risk of any left ventricular assist device or artificial heart, but particularly so in the small ones that we use for small children, is the risk of a blood clot forming on the device and that blood clot traveling around the body.
Ben would gradually lose nearly all control of his legs.
At first I was pretty iffy about it. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I didn't know where I was going to go, and I started getting into sports more, and that's how I got into wheelchair basketball, and now I'm really happy with it. I would rather be in a wheelchair than be able to walk at this point in my life.
And that is the positive attitude Ben takes through his life. 12 years after his transplant, Ben keeps on rolling. Wheelchair basketball is his sport. He hopes to play for one of the 9 colleges playing intercollegiate wheelchair basketball. What pushes Ben is the challenge to become the best.
Yeah, it's just strength and training and stuff. I mean, when I first came, I couldn't even hit the net, and now I can almost shoot a three-pointer.
Ben is not alive today without the help of the Rollin heart machine, the care of his doctors and nurses, the support of his family,
but also because of another family who unfortunately had a tragedy and lost a child of their own. But during that moment of their greatest grief, they reached out and said, we want to help somebody else.
The donor family did not want to be known, but the hospital has a program where Ben's family could write a letter to the donor family.
And just thank you. You gave me the gift of life, and I can't really repay that, but that's all I can say is thank you.
Now Ben lives his gift of life to its fullest, the smile on his face showing the pure joy that comes from his passion. Ben is doing very well in school and says a career in medicine might be in his future. He has seen nearly all of what the medical field can give. Ben has a great support group at home and at school, and a great group of friends that he's known for a really long time. So for Ben, right now, life is good.
It's amazing. He'd rather be in a wheelchair at this point in his life. That quote was
that's
fantastic.
what he knows.
Yes.